Welcome to this week's reflection. Today I'm going to be thinking a bit about how each of us take our place in the body of Christ, his church. Now, I'm sure many of us watched the funeral of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. What a great occasion. And what really struck me was just how massive an operation the whole event was. In many cases, it was very much indeed a military operation. But even beyond that, so many more people taking their place and doing their bit. I'm sure the Met Police were very busy. Also the local council in Westminster, as well as the wonderful folks at Westminster Abbey itself, both clergy and I'm sure very many laity as well. And of course that's to mention but a few of the many, many people involved in what was a wonderful state occasion, with each one taking their place. I was even more surprised when on Monday evening I met one of the local village dog walking brigade who proudly explained to me that his cousin's son was one of the pallbearers shouldering Her Majesty's coffin. Wow, they did a great job. He was just a young lad. He'd only passed out of his basic training in August, yet he was chosen for this amazing honour. And once again, along with all the other pallbearers, he took his place in that team, amongst the many other teams and the many other individuals who all took their place to make the occasion of laying our Queen to rest the awesome event that it was. All took their place. From the very many, perhaps seemingly insignificant contributions, right through to the Archbishop of Canterbury's address, none more valuable than the other in God's eyes. And indeed, beyond watching the actual funeral itself, it's been great to see so many local churches who responded to the opportunities this event afforded. Church doors thrown open on days other than Sunday. Communities gathering to watch the funeral on large screens. Lunches and teas being served. And even one church that I know of serving marmalade sandwiches just for Paddington Bear's sake. So, way beyond Westminster Abbey, people all around our nation and indeed beyond these shores are serving their local communities, where none is more valuable than the other, and each one taking their place. And that, right there, is the body of Christ in action. And we see this in and around many of our rural communities, amongst our creative and varied network of churches, missional listeners and pioneers within RM. We see that opportunities are being taken to share something of the love of Jesus with friends and neighbours in the many small communities, hamlets, villages and market towns, all taking their place. And so, I want to quite simply encourage you today. You may well feel as if you're the only one who's seeking to serve your local Christian community. I've certainly felt like that myself in the past. You may well feel like you're the only one who's willing to reach out beyond the church walls and seek to impact your surrounding community. Well, if that's you, I'd urge you today to please keep going. You're not alone. We need each other. On a number of occasions, the Apostle Paul in the New Testament uses the analogy of the body to describe the church. In 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 21, he reminds us that we all need each other. Just like the Queen's funeral, we each have our place. No one part of the body can function without the support of others, however insignificant they may seem to us. And again in Ephesians 4, Paul exhorts us to build each other up in the body. That's teamwork. And also in Romans 12 and verse 5, he helpfully reminds us that as part of the body we all belong to each other. Let's seek to counter the unhelpful division that can so easily raise its head in the church. And within the body, let's get along together. So be encouraged today. You may never preach in St. Paul's Cathedral. You may never be a pallbearer for a member of the royal family, but what you do is important. You taking your place in the body is vital. Your perhaps seemingly insignificant contribution is so valuable in God's eyes. There's often so much negativity around the church in the UK at the moment, and on occasion I admit I can get dragged into that. But I, for one, was really encouraged by the Queen's funeral, the central message of which was clear for all to see. From the very centre of our constitutional democracy, there was a message of hope. Faith in Jesus brings everlasting life. So be encouraged today. Take your place in the body. Keep going and reach out beyond those church walls with the enduring love of God. You know what? You're probably doing a lot better than you think.